All right, back here on Inside Wrestling Radio, up to the interview section of the program, and today I am pleased to have in the house one of my greatest friends in this business, Cruizer Lewis. Cruiser's been around since 1987. He started out as the Phantom Warrior, and I didn't even realize that, Cruiser, until just a little while ago, and we'll talk all about the Phantom Warrior here in a few minutes. Did that gimmick for a little while, and then was given the greatest gimmick, I think, that ever fit him, and the biker gimmick he's doing now, which is the Cruizer Lewis gimmick, and that was, he said, was given to him by the Stray Cat himself, Brody Chase, right?
That's right.
Yeah, cool. So we'll talk about all that stuff, and then we'll talk about Snake Lewis, who was the original Lewis brother, and we'll get into all that stuff. But right now, welcome to the program. Cruizer Lewis, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing very good, Ricky.
Great, man. Glad to have you in the house. Now, tell me about this Phantom Warrior. What was the deal with the Phantom Warrior?
Phantom Warrior. This was a man from the dark corner of reality.
Oh, the dark corner of reality.
Dark corner of reality.
Okay, awesome.
Yes, this was a hoodie gimmick.
Yeah.
I was 18 years old, just fresh out of high school.
Sure.
I was a big guy back then. It was just something to really get me started in the business.
Right, gotcha. Now, what had you always been a wrestling fan growing up, or was it something you kind of fell into, or how did you get into wrestling in the beginning there?
Oh, yeah, always a big fan of wrestling.
Yeah. Always
watched it on Saturday mornings, and grew up with the Mid-Atlantic area.
Sure.
All big heroes, Wahoo McDaniel.
Right.
Those guys like that. And the style I really liked was watching Kevin Sullivan.
Yeah.
Was who I'd really started to think about when I started into wrestling. I'd watched him over the years.
Yeah,
and
that kind of evil,
mean
kind of guy. Yeah.
Yeah, at the time he was working down in Florida, and he was really doing a demonic, evil guy. He was a short, stocky built guy, much sort of like myself.
Right. Yeah.
So I really enjoyed patterning myself a little more after his style.
Sure. Yeah. As you were breaking into the business, what did you find, sort of like Mickey and I, we just kind of found Jerry Hall down there in Waterloo. Did you just kind of find a guy to help you get in, or somebody to lead you in the right direction, or how did you actually break in?
Well, the guy sort of found me. A gentleman named Pops Monroe was what he worked as. His name was Pops, and he had a daughter named Minnie Monroe. Mm-hmm. Me and her went to high school together.
Oh, okay.
And him and her had got into wrestling with Horace Strickland down in Anderson.
Okay.
And he decided he wanted to run his own wrestling school.
Okay. Horace Strickland wanted to start his own.
No, Pops Monroe.
Okay, gotcha.
I was one of the first ones he approached. And after they got started, he come to me and said, always seen me around school, had always thought I looked like a wrestler.
Sure, yeah.
And I told him, well, I'd always thought about being one before. Well, he approached me and said, hey, would you like to be a wrestler?
Really?
So that,
just on your look alone?
Yeah, on my look alone.
Awesome, yeah.
And so he invited me up to he had built a ring, and invited me up to his place, which wasn't too far from my house. Mm-hmm. And I went up there and got in the ring with him and bumped around a little bit, and as you said last week, it's sort of natural, took it to it naturally.
And that's one thing I've always said about you, Cruizer, is just your natural ability. And there's some things that I've always said, you either got it or you don't. And you can teach people how to do stuff. You can teach them how to take a bump. You can teach them how not to get hurt. But to actually know how to put a match together and how the psychology of a match and stuff like that, some people just have that innate ability. And you're one of the few people who I've run across in the business who just naturally know what to do and when to do it. It's that timing, man. And a lot of guys just don't have that timing. And that's just something, guys like you and I hope myself, just kind of know how to do and make it look believable at the same time. Now, how long were you in training there? And this was up in, where was this at, in Tigerville?
In Tigerville, South Carolina.
How long were you training up there with those guys before you had your first show?
It was probably 6 months or so.
Is that right?
Yes.
Now, did they teach you, what all did they teach you back then? Because this is, like I said, this is back in the 87, late 80s. What were they teaching back then? It was a lot different from now, right?
Yes. Yeah. Back then it was, the main emphasis was on the safety of knowing how to bump,
right,
and making sure you had that down before we went on to anything else.
Right. And running drills probably just back to back to back.
Yeah. With a gentleman, Roger Dixon, went by the GOAT back then.
Yeah, GOAT, sure.
And
a lot of the old timers who listen to this show will remember GOAT.
Oh yes,
little guy who could work his butt off.
Yes, would have been a star nowadays.
Sure, absolutely would have been one of the top cruiserweights in the world. Really, I believe.
Definitely, most definitely.
So you got up with Goat, and what come of that?
We trained for hours and hours, usually 4 to 5 hours every Sunday afternoons up there.
Right.
Just working on different moves and a lot of the basics, just the basic stuff is
sure. Yeah.
That's where you learn to get your timing down right there. Is working your basics stuff.
Just over and over and over, just drilling that stuff.
And people don't want to do that nowadays.
No,
they want to get in there and first thing they want to do is body slam somebody.
Slam,
or
suplex.
Jump off the top rope.
Exactly.
They don't understand that.
Cut 50,000 flips off the top rope and not know how to take a regular straight back bump. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. Now tell me about your very first show. How was that, walking in that ring the very first time?
Oh, this was something. It was at my high school.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So I'd only been out of school maybe 2 years when walked back into my high school to do my very first match.
Right.
And worked first match was against a gentleman when as I believe it was the Black Angel, but this was
a different Black Angel.
A different Black Angel back then. And went in there, and I was doing the Phantom Warrior gimmick right then.
Yeah.
And so it was, went in there, and maybe a 5-6 minute match at the most.
Oh, really? You got a 5-6 minutes first match?
First match.
Wow.
Oh yes.
So how was it? I mean, were you nervous?
Very nervous.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a nice crowd there and everything, and a lot of my kinfolk were there, and people I knew from school and all. So, very nerve wracking.
I imagine. So what did he beat you with in your first match?
I believe it was probably a belly to belly.
Yeah. Well, hey, at least you went out better than me. Like I said last week, my first match with Johnny Dollar, I went under to the big power slam. So took a power slam. I actually went under one time, Cruiser, to an Irish whip. we were doing a match, an outdoor show up in Cross Hill, and Ron Simmons was there, a bunch of guys were there, and we were working Max and Jake. You remember Max and Jake?
I remember Max.
And we were up there doing a spot, just real quick, and Max whipped me across into the corner. And, I always hit the turnbuckles hard. That's the way we were taught. You go into the turnbuckle like a freight train, trying to shake the ring, So I went in there wide open, man, hit that doggone turnbuckle, and the whole ring collapsed. Because it was put together with shelves and just, these bad ropes and stuff, man. I hit that corner, the whole ring collapsed. I hit the floor, said, let's get out of here, and took the 3 count to the Irish whip. So I think I'm the only wrestler ever to go under to the Irish whip. one of my favorite matches right there. Anyway, enough about me. Now tell me about meeting Snake Lewis.
Oh, meeting Snake Lewis. That was definitely a good meeting there.
That was probably a career changer.
Oh, most definitely.
You think?
Yes.
People who don't know, Ralph Hodges, he actually did some television work for WCW, and he started out about the same time as the rest of us did, and he was doing the biker gimmick to start with, or
no, he wasn't doing the biker gimmick to start with.
Yeah, he was doing whatever.
I don't remember what it was.
I don't remember either, because when I met you guys, y'all were already into the Lewis gimmick. But Ralph was just a natural. He was another just natural talent, man, who could just really put together anything. And I remember watching him. We were all up doing a show for Rick Jacobs, and he had a spot on WCW that evening. I think you were there.
I think I was.
And we were all in the room, having a few libations and watching. And man, just the natural talent he had was just amazing. And he actually, even Jimmy Mitchell, who went on to be the Sinister Minister and all that stuff, he actually said that Snake had a better off the top elbow than Randy Savage. And I think he did too.
Oh, yeah.
But we're up on a break right now, Cruiser. We're going to come back and we'll talk about what's going on today in your career and what you're up to up in NCW. We'll be right back. More Inside Wrestling Radio coming up next with Cruizer Lewis.